Welcome to Faith Stories with Dawn DeMarco Buck. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they will see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16.
Well, hello, I'm Dawn DeMarco Buck with Faith Stories. What is Faith Stories? Faith Stories are Christians from all walks of life who share their stories of faith, hope, and love. And my prayer is that you come to know your Lord and Savior through these stories and also through His Word, which is the Bible. So if you need a Bible, please reach out to me at I won't get your message, at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. Okay, I'm doing my intro a little bit different this time, and I want to do a little teaser about my amazing guest that I'm going to have. She's sitting here in the audio, right here. Jessi Morgan is a Miami-based Christian podcaster, former track athlete, and seasoned retail leader turned corporate program manager. After the premature birth of her daughter at just 23 weeks, Jessi's faith was deeply strengthened, leading her to launch the Jessi Morgan Devotions for the Christian Heart podcast. Now, with over 60 weekly episodes, the show encourages listeners by studying God's Word and connecting Scripture to real-life stories of hope, hardship, and God's faithfulness. So, we'll be right back and you'll get to meet Jessi.
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at Broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton. We open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavillaproperties.com. Discover Rosie's Garden. The collection draws inspiration from the beautiful niece of the founder, Rosie, who brought joy to many before passing too soon. Her beauty and spirit are reflected in every piece. Founded by two friends, Rosie's Garden is a female-owned brand passionate about creating stunning, elegant jewelry that embodies the concept of bellissima, the Italian word for beautiful. With a philosophy rooted in grace and elegance, the brand crafts each piece of jewelry using only the finest materials, including 18-karat gold and the highest quality craftsmanship, ensuring that every piece is a true work of art. Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. And welcome back. Okay, you guys, so Jessica, I'm calling her Jessica. I've known her since she was a little girl. So I'm just saying, I know she goes by Jessi Morgan for her podcast, but Jessica, I've known her parents way too long, okay? I'm not going to say how long, but very long. And I love them dearly. And I remember I was at an event with her parents, and I go into the bathroom and I see this gorgeous woman standing at the sink. And I'm like, "You are so beautiful." And she looked at me, she goes, "Dawn?" And I'm like, "What?" "It's Jessica." I hadn't seen her in that long. And I was like, oh my word. Hello. So my guest today is Jessica Morgan. Thank you so much.
Of course. You're so funny. I was like, oh, it's me. You're like, what?
It's true. It's true. I was so clueless. I couldn't believe that was you. It's like the last time I saw you, you were young, little girl.
I know.
And then you just whoosh into this beautiful woman, which, oh my gosh, girl. So thank you for coming on.
Of course.
I'm so excited because your story is so powerful. And I want, look, she was raised in a Christian household, and I remember, and I'm going to share a personal story, and then we'll get into Jessica's story. Calling your house, this was probably before you were born, I'm not sure, but I called your dad to talk to your dad, and your mom answered the phone, and she's like, "Oh, how you doing?"
I go, oh, I'm fine. I go, can I speak to Mac? Because I call him, his name is Don, and I call him Mac.
Yeah, everybody calls him Mac.
It's easier,
Yeah.
right? Because Don. No.
Yes.
And he goes, how you doing? And I just burst into tears because I was living in New York, working for a jewelry designer,
Yeah.
and that ugliness. Anyway, he goes, just come home, we'll figure it out. That was so funny. So, okay, enough of me. So, Jessica, let's talk about your daughter Sage and what happened and everything that you and your hubby walked through and how you got through it.
Yeah. So we went through some fertility issues for for about 2 years. We struggled to get pregnant. I've been married to my husband since 2018. So
He's
around,
adorable, by the way.
He's very tall, by the way.
Very
so,
tall.
yeah.
6'9", you guys.
Yeah,
Hello.
he's very tall. But, for the past, probably between 2021 and 2023, we really were trying to get pregnant. It was really, really hard. And so, finally we got pregnant. I was just so excited, of course. And I went to my 23-week checkup.
Right.
I had two OBs because I was over 35 and the whole thing. So you have to have a regular OB, and then you have to have
35. It's
over,
not like
and you have to have over 35 OB because they have to really check the fetus and make sure that the baby's fine and everything. And so I literally had both checkups the same week. Everything was fine. The baby was fine. I was good. Great. So 4 days go by, the day after Labor Day, my water broke. And
What?
And I'll be honest, I didn't know my water broke a little bit because
your first
I was
pregnancy.
and then I was going to the bathroom. I just didn't realize it. So the next day I woke up, I know, it's pretty bad. It's really crazy, but this is really what happened. The next day, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was in horrible pain. I was in excruciating pain, cramps like crazy. It was contractions. I didn't realize it was contractions, to be honest, because I just didn't. I was
you didn't
23
correlate
weeks.
it,
It just
right.
did correlate
So what is
I
that?
just went to the
That's
doctor.
not even 5 months.
No, it's 6 months, almost 6 months.
Okay.
It was about 6
Yeah.
months. And so I was cramping. I was just in pain. And my husband had gone to the gym. I was on the couch. It was 6:30 in the morning. I was in pain. And my dog came over to me and was just looking. My dog is just, I always credit my dog to making me go to the hospital because my husband had just come in from the gym. He was going to go to the shower. He was going to get dressed. And he thought, Jess is up doing stuff.
Fine.
My dog went crazy, calling my husband, barking at him, you have to come to the living room. And my husband comes to the living room and I'm in pain. I'm in a ball. And he's so we called our doctor and we went to see the doctor. And the only reason I agreed to go is because my dog jumped on the couch and looked at me and said, had this face Mommy, you're not okay. And I'm okay. So I went to the doctor, and when I went there, they were oh no, this baby's coming. So the good thing is our OB, the office is across the street from the hospital that I was going to do anyway.
Oh my gosh.
And then God is good again. My OB was on call that day. So she was able to deliver my baby. So I had my actual OB.
Well, that's God right there.
And
all over
everything.
that, right?
So we went through, I had her that day, the 5th of September, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And, they had to obviously bag her. They had to put her in an incubator because she was born at 23 weeks and 3 days. She was born at 6 months. So she was 4 months early. And at the time, I didn't know this, but my husband knew, she had less than 20% chance to live because she had an infection. I had it too. It was all in her lungs.
But
pus.
you didn't know that you had the
I
infection.
didn't know
until you
that.
gave
Yeah,
birth,
I didn't
right?
know. So they just said that it's just a freak accident that I just went into labor like that. There was nothing I could have done differently or anything.
Right.
So she, she was in the NICU immediately, and she was 1.6 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And
She's
really
a
bad,
miracle
yeah,
baby.
really bad pus in her lungs. And they didn't know. So the next 3 days were the most critical days to see, will she survive? Will she not? And so every day we had to fight the infection. That took about 10 days. I was on fluids for 5 days.
Were you still in the hospital at this time?
I was still in the hospital.
Okay.
So I was in the hospital for 5 days. And of course the NICU that had her was there. And so we started, and then we were able, after I got out of the hospital, we were able to, I still went back to work But what I did was, my job is so great, I get to work from home.
Yeah.
So I was able to go to the hospital every
Every
day
day.
and just be there.
Oh
And
my
my boss was very accommodating. He was great. My team was awesome. They sent me like Amazon gift cards all day. And at my company, I have to say, they were really awesome.
Yeah.
But going through that first month was really hard. When I first saw her in the NICU, of course, I'm in tears because she's hooked up to everything.
Yeah.
She's got 15 different machines and her nutrients, everything.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think what really worked, this was a miracle from God, was the fact that the infectious disease doctor came into my room when I was still in the hospital, and she's like, oh, Mom, and I said, she looked at me, she's like, wait a minute, you have the infection too? I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, wait a minute. She's like, are you going to breastfeed? And I was like, oh, I would love to breastfeed. Okay, try to breastfeed. And so, of course, you're trying to pump with the
Right.
machine in the hospital, and they say that
I don't know that, but
Yeah.
okay.
But
I
they
don't.
say-
I never had a
I
baby,
know.
so
But they say that it takes about like 4 days sometimes,
Right, to latch
get
on?
or just to get milk.
Right.
And I had milk in 3 hours.
oh my gosh.
So a lot of it says that she survived that infection because I was able to give milk that quick. I had like 8 syringes of milk. I will say I was a cow after having her, because the amount of milk that I produced when my daughter, I had like 8 ounces per pump. Like I was
you
pumping.
kidding?
But it was like she had enough milk. The milk that I had the antibodies, and it was so it was just such a miracle in that.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that we got through that first month was so great. But then after that, she dealt with neurological issues.
Sure.
And so we had to move her to Nicholas Children's Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals for children
And where
in
is
South
that?
Florida. It's right in Coral Gables.
Okay. 'Cause
They
you-
usually
She
service-
lives way down
I way
south.
down south,
Oh
yes.
my word. Yeah, we have to take a lunch. but
Yes,
when we- no, I'm kidding.
yeah, I know. But it's like one of the best hospitals with
Yeah.
neurosurgeons,
Yeah.
cancer treatment center for children. They cater to mostly the Caribbean,
Okay.
and a lot of South Florida, a lot of South United States.
Sure.
So she went to that NICU, which had 40 beds, and let me tell you, that was the best thing that ever happened. Some of the best doctors I've ever experienced, some of the best nurses. I still hear from my nurses to
Do
this
you
day.
really?
She has a shunt in the back of her head because she couldn't absorb her spinal fluid because she was so little.
Right.
So there's a lot of stress with that. But I remember my husband and I said to each other, we said, we're going to be nice. We're going to be nice in this hospital. We're going to say, thank you. How you doing?
Right.
We're going to, and we said to ourselves when she was born, we can't fix this. Like the only thing we have is our faith. That's
Right.
all we have. Like, 'cause there's nothing you can do. We can't control this.
No, you can't.
And so every day I did a devotional for myself and I studied David. I remember I was doing David and Daniel at the same time.
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
I'm an overachiever. That's just who I am.
I think so, but then
But I
you are
did-
your father and mother's daughter.
But I
so,
did
hello.
what I really did was I did this devotional every day. And I'm a type of person, I love to recap what I read. So I started to recap with a text message and I sent it to my mom, my Aunt Lily, my dad, and my husband.
Okay.
I did that for the first month she was born.
Did you
And
pray
then
over her?
I prayed, oh, of course, prayed over her all the time, prayed every morning. But the devotional is what set the mood for the day.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like my own prayer of,
Yeah.
and how to get through it. And so I
So
think
what did
that's
you
really
learn
did it.
as you were walking through that, you studied David and Daniel and the parallels of what you were walking through? Share that.
Yeah. I think what it was interesting, okay, David, we all know, that's probably one of the most famous
Don't
people.
assume everybody knows.
Okay, well, when we look, David is probably one of the most monumental, one of the most important people in the Bible because he sets the
Absolutely.
lineage of Jesus Christ.
Right.
He is really the first chosen king of Israel. And he sets the tone of what that's going to look like when Jesus Christ later on becomes the King of Kings,
Right.
Lord of Lords. But David is such an amazing person in the Bible because of his faith.
Right.
He was not perfect.
Who
he
is?
did not do things properly all the time
No.
as king. He didn't discipline his children like he should have.
Right.
He had an affair when he shouldn't have. He
Right.
did some stuff.
Right.
But what made David so great was he always repented. When
The
he
heart.
realized
He
he
had the
was
heart.
wrong, and
Yeah.
he always loved God. He always put God first. He was a warrior. And so really learning his story while I'm going through this is I think it was the resilience that I learned from David.
Right.
Because David was resilient. It didn't matter what it was. He was always resilient and he always put his faith in God regardless.
Right.
And through the famous story of Goliath,
Right.
through the amount of battles he went through, when he got older and he dealt with Absalom and his son,
Right.
he always in the end, he always put God first, and he never blamed God for his problems.
No, because you know what, God,
know?
that's the thing. He knows your heart. And when he sees
Yes.
your heart, and he saw his heart, and that's why he made him the king of Jews.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, King of Israel, absolutely. And I think
Israel, right.
that's what makes David so special. So doing that testimony while I'm going through what I was going through was just so parallel. It was perfect. I mean, I had my ups and downs. When you have a baby in the NICU, it goes up and down.
God,
It can be a great day she had, and the next day it goes down.
Right.
So David's story is up and down. But the consistency was his relationship with God. And I think Daniel was interesting because Daniel is all about prophecy.
Yes.
Daniel was probably one of the most faithful people in the Bible because he was taken from his homeland and put into Babylon and had to deal with a completely changing type of world.
What we're living in now.
And what we're living in now. I think Babylon is a great example of what the world is dealing with now and how Babylon was all about itself. It was, Nicodemus, and it was just so many things. So Daniel represented so much symbolism of what the world is now. And then Daniel, as well as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, represented his, really close friends, they got thrown in the fire scene.
Right.
They
came out
with untouched, by the way. That's a great story, by the way.
That is a great story.
But I think that Daniel, the life of Daniel really represents being consistent and not letting the world disrupt you.
Right.
And I think from Daniel, I learned, me and my husband did this in the NICU with her. We didn't Google.
Good.
I didn't Google anything. So
yeah, because then you're putting in the
'cause
world
if you
and
Google,
what they say.
she would be on her deathbed. I mean, she
exactly.
would be obese. She would be, she would be this, and I was like, I can't do that.
You can't put your mind on those thoughts.
So
those are
we
not the
decided
thoughts of God.
not to. We didn't Google anything.
Good.
So if the doctor said, "Oh, she's suffering with this," oh, okay, and it was funny because we'd be like, "Oh, okay." So they said, "Oh, you don't want to Google it?" I'm like, "No, you can tell me what it is."
Right.
And I remember the doctors were like, "Oh, okay." Like I can tell that they were so like, "Oh, wow, they really listen to what we have to say." Yeah, we do. You're the
respect,
professional,
yeah.
and I also think God's going to bless whoever is going to, take care of my baby.
Right.
So I think kindness went a long way for us.
Yeah.
People looked out for my daughter in the NICU. I mean, the friendships I developed, I'm still close to two twins. Their mom, she had twins in the NICU, and we went from the first NICU to the Nicholas together.
Oh, wow.
We still talk today.
Isn't
And
that
she's got her struggles too with her little one, but it's so neat because our goal is when they're all like 3 or 4, we're going to all go to Disney together. So we're looking forward to that. So I still think that NICU experience was a blessing, and I don't ever want to trade that experience for anything.
Right.
And I thank God for it because I think it grounded me spiritually, and it made me really rely on God in my life and what I do. And I think that was just the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I would have never said that when it was happening in the
No, of course
moment.
not. But when you look back and you saw how he carried you through that time.
He
because
carried me through that.
You go through the motions, and yes, you have your faith, but you literally, when you look back, it was like God carried you and your husband and had just a covering over the 3 of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
He did, and I think it strengthened our marriage.
I was going to ask you about that because sometimes you just never know.
I know people in my life that are single parents or went through things like that, and they lost their spouse or they didn't have one when they're raising their kids. And going through what I went through with my husband, I'm like, I don't know how people do it by themselves.
I don't
and when they
either.
do it by themselves, there's so much more respect that I have.
Right.
I'm so grateful for my husband because he was there every step of the way. And he kind of reminds me of my dad. My dad is a very calm person.
Yes,
he's very,
he is.
very even kill. My mom is a little bit more animated.
Hello.
And I'm like my mom.
Right.
So my husband is just like my dad. So my husband is just very even kill. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. He's like, babe, he's like, Jess, we're going to get through it. We're going to handle it. We'll be fine. We're going to do this. We're going to do, like, he always thinks like that. So going through this with him has been the best thing ever. And our relationship just soared. It was never an issue anyway, but it just soared. It just got
brought
better.
you closer.
And I think our faith got stronger together. And he's the most supportive person for me, and me and him, and, the same thing, vice versa. But I think that's been really great because I loved how we decided, like, okay, we're gonna trust God together. We're gonna be nice and kind to people in the hospital. We're gonna show show that side. And I think that's where some people saw the testimony in us.
Absolutely.
And it
You're
was
living
fun.
your faith.
And it was funny because I walk in the NICU, I'll be like, oh, hi. You get a new nurse every day. You have a new nurse. So, oh, hi, how are you? What's your name? Oh, I'm this. Oh, yeah, I have Sage today. Oh, okay. That's my daughter's name. And like, oh, you know, she's so cute. And
She's
oh, I'm so
adorable.
happy. Oh, we're so excited to have you because we hear you're such nice parents. We heard that how many times? And people wanted to have my daughter in the NICU because they thought we were nice. I was like, oh, that's nice. I mean, I'm like, they're human beings, and you know, NICU nurses are just something special.
Oh my God, right?
There's another level to them. So I always tried to be personal. I remember one was graduating, and I was like, hey, so how was graduation? Did you get your master's and everything? They look at me, they're like, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. You remember? I'm like, well, of course I'm gonna remember. Those are just things, and I feel like that's a way to showcase like that kindness and like, and I think people saw in us something's different with them. And I was like, you know, and we want to make sure that they saw that God was in us, because I would mention my faith all the time. I didn't push it on anybody, but I mentioned it because I think that's who I am. That's part of who I was. And I just think that situation let me really showcase, you know, who I was. And I think just being able to send those text messages to my family, it just like, I felt like God was creating something in me. And that's where the podcast came into play, which was very intimidating when I said I wanted to do it.
We're going to get to that too. But what was I going to ask you? It's so funny because nowadays people are not nice. They treat people like it's like they're servants or whatever, but it's like, why would you do you want to be treated like that? And especially as human beings, we should treat each other with respect and honor. Not everybody may deserve it, but that's how you should, as a Christian, be respectful of the person that you're dealing with. They're taking care of your little girl, right? And you guys were just
working 12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts, and here you are, the parents that come in and they're distraught and they're just wanting their child to be saved and be okay, and you know, that trauma, and then you two come in and you're like, you're showing a different side to who you are, and whose you are, which is Christ, right? And that's huge. That's how we are supposed to act in life.
And that's where that gets people wanting to talk, like, hey, so what do you like to do? What do you believe in? And and that's the way to like subtly plant the seed. And that's something I've learned through time and looking in scripture is, you know, if someone rejects it, pick up and move on. But you planted a seed. It's not about shoving it down someone's throat. And I think that's where, in our world, we kind of, especially now, we don't do a good job. Some people don't do a good job of that.
No. You know, it's so funny because I remember this was before Christ. Okay, I didn't get to know Christ until my 30s. Your dad and mom can witness to that. They were praying for me for years, let me tell you. But I remember I was at work and I was hungover, before Christ, and my friend called me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm hungover, you know." And she's like, "Oh, well, you know, you're going to hell." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And, "Well, I'm a Christian now, and you know, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Okay, do you know what that did for me?" I went, instead of doing this and growing in my relationship, had she had a conversation with me instead of telling me I was going to hell because I was hungover, you know? And so, but it also taught me as a Christian, when I became a Christian, that I don't want to shove it down people's throats. I want people to see who I am as a woman and a woman of faith and how I treat people. And that to me, and like you said, you plant seeds. God does the rest. It's not my job to save that person. I can share who I have my faith in, and God does the rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you're doing with.
You know, people say, "Oh, when did you get saved?" People always ask that. When did you get saved? They never say, "When did your dad save you?" Or "When did so and so save you?" No, it's like, "When did you get saved?" Means like, when did you accept Jesus as that's your decision. Right. But it's about us as Christians and planting that seed and planting it where it's a welcoming aspect that people want to do more. Absolutely.
Because I want to be more like her, you know, or what does she have and why is she always so joyful? Okay, so you guys, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to learn more about Jessica's podcast. Yay!
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton. We open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavillaproperties.com.
Discover Rosie's Garden. The collection draws inspiration from the beautiful niece of the founder, Rosie, who brought joy to many before passing too soon. Her beauty and spirit are reflected in every piece. Founded by two friends, Rosie's Garden is a female-owned brand passionate about creating stunning, elegant jewelry that embodies the concept of bellissima, the Italian word for beautiful. With a philosophy rooted in grace and elegance, the brand crafts each piece of jewelry using only the finest materials, including 18-karat gold and the highest quality craftsmanship, ensuring that every piece is a true work of art.
Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. Awesome. Oh, hello. I was in the middle of hearing some good news and how God is so amazing. Sorry.
It's okay. It's me.
It's all good.
It's
So,
me.
Jessi. See, I called you Jessi because now we're going into your podcast and it's Jessi Morgan,
Yeah.
not Jessica Morgan. So let's talk, how did your podcast come to be?
Well, the podcast came to be based off of those text messages I was talking about, sending it out to my family every day after I read my devotionals. My best friends were like, "Wait a minute, what devotionals? What are you texting?" And I'm like, "Oh, for my family, just like a great way to, Oh, I want to see it." And I'm like, "Okay." So my two best friends, I text them. Then one of my friends at the hospital heard about it. She's like, "I want to hear it." So then I sent it to her. Then I said, "Well, everybody doesn't like to read," so I did voice memos.
Right.
So then I just
Right.
felt like God laid it on my heart when my daughter finally came home in January. She was in the hospital for 4 months. She came home in January of 2024. I got 5.5 months off from work, and I had to go back to work in mid-May. And I felt like the Lord was telling me, because I still was doing the devotion,
Right.
even with her home. And then the Lord was saying, "You need to share this." And so I'm like, how do I share that? So then I thought about a blog, and I said, well, it's 2024. No one reads like they used to.
Right.
So I was like, let me think about it. And I said, oh
Quick.
my gosh, a
They want quick.
podcast. And I
Right.
was scared. I was like, okay. And God laid in my heart, you're going to find somebody to take care of your daughter, and you're also going to have to launch this podcast before you go back to work. And I'm like, okay. So that's what I did.
But you stepped in faith, and that's what I love. So we don't have a lot of time. You've got a minute. I'm going to give you a minute more to just, where can they find your podcast and the premise? Well, basically just share that.
Well, my podcast is on anywhere you want to listen to your podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, you name it. It's titled Jessi Morgan Devotions for the Christian Heart. Jessi, Jessi, just so you know.
Yeah.
And it's less than 20 minutes. It's weekly. It comes out on Thursdays, and I literally talk about relatable topics. I take a story in the Bible. I also bring a story of mine, a personal,
Right.
and I relate and I put them and tie them together. So it's great lessons. We just finished Judges, which was insane to me. I love the study. I've done Ruth, and right now we're about to do 1 Samuel. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit. And I've talked about horrible dating in my life off of that podcast.
Oh
and
God, girl,
fun
you should have
stuff.
talked to me.
So it's a relatable podcast, and I really love doing it.
Oh.
God has just, it's
And
been the
she's
best
very
thing.
good at it, you guys. I love listening. So thank you, my girlfriend, for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Give my love to your parents.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. Okay. So next week, you guys, I have Chandra Stringer. I met her at an event back in March. Awesome. She started out praying over the group of people, and she was kind of like really timid. And then all of a sudden, that prayer warrior came out. She's next week. I can't wait to meet her again. I haven't seen her since March, and she's awesome and you're going to love her. So tune in next week at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Have a blessed week, you guys. Take care.
Thank you for watching Faith Stories, where you will hear stories of hope, faith, and love. Please join us next week, and remember, God meets you where you are, but doesn't leave you where you are.